Okay.
And we're up and going.
We're up and going. Hopefully. Fuck. Frick.
You can say fuck. It's okay.
I don't know if I can say fuck on the internet.
You can say fuck. I say fuck all the time.
Me too. And day to day. Also, I'm saying fuck. I promise.
Do you want to introduce?
I'll introduce ourselves.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
This is All Booked Up. My name is Caitlin.
My name is Laiven, and we're your hosts.
Hello.
Bear
with us, please.
Yeah, this is our first time doing a podcast, and it's definitely been
a journey
trying to set it up.
Getting equipment is hard. No one ever tells you how hard that is.
And we're just girls.
We're just girls.
we're just girls trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it seems like rocket science.
It's
too much.
So to introduce ourselves a little bit, we decided that we wanted to do a bookish podcast, so all things books. We're gonna be talking about lots of things, lots of themes, lots of fun stuff that we have planned. In today's episode, we're gonna be talking about all things thrown to glass. The whole thing. We're so excited.
So many opinions.
So many opinions. So many thoughts.
Some controversial things.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So we're gonna do a little bit of an introduction, kind of introduce ourselves. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
You already know my name.
Yeah.
You already know my name. My favorite artist, I'll start there.
Okay.
Mine is Harry Styles.
Of course.
If you can't tell.
Yes.
And Taylor Swift.
Do top three.
Do top three.
Yeah.
Harry Styles, 1. Taylor Swift, 2. 3rd, Sabrina Carpenter. Honorable mention, Olivia Rodrigo.
Period.
Yeah. Favorite book. I can do my favorite book.
How would you describe your reading taste?
I don't know.
Really?
No. I don't know.
The face you made?
I'm not sure.
If you had to pick top 2.
Series or
either.
Book, series, anything?
Anything.
Throne of Glass. Second.
As you should.
Probably Beach Read. I love that book so much.
I've never read Beach Read.
You should definitely read Beach
I
Read.
plan on it.
You need to. It's so good. Probably top 2.
Top 2?
I feel like that encapsulates all of it.
All of it?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Okay. What do you do?
What do you do? I'm in college.
Me too.
To be an education teacher for elementary kids.
Period.
So that's fun.
I love that.
I love that too. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
I haven't quite figured it out, but it's mine.
You got it. I believe in you.
Thank you so much.
So, my name is Laiven.
Yeah.
I am a pre-PA student. My top 3 would be Taylor, Sabrina, and Olivia.
So true.
I do love Harry, but I'm not as no.
She's see the room around you.
Yeah,
it's
Harry's
crazy.
on every wall.
Every crazy.
Wall. As he should be.
As he should be. That's what he deserves.
She's putting me on Harry.
I am. Slowly but surely I get everyone here.
Yeah,
to listen to Harry.
she's getting me on Harry, so hopefully he'll come up soon in my
He will. One day. He's rising.
He really is.
So
he's up there.
Yes.
How would I describe my reading taste? I would probably it's gonna be Addicted and Throne of Glass. Those are my two babies. True. If anyone ever asks me to choose between them, there's absolutely no way it's gonna happen.
They're too different.
No, I can't. I'm a fantasy romantic reader, but I can never choose between Addicted series and Throne of Glass.
They're both beautiful.
They're both beautiful, yeah.
Even though I haven't read Addicted.
You totally should read Addicted.
I know that I need to.
You will soon.
I will, and then my thoughts will be, no.
If you hate it, you can't tell me.
I won't say anything if I don't like it.
And if I don't like I won't tell you. I think you'll love it, though.
I think I'll love it.
I think you'll love it. It's hard.
I like most things you tell me to read.
So true. I told her to read Throne of Glass.
I don't think I've ever hated a book you told me to read.
That makes me really happy.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been like, no, I'm not doing that.
So me and Caitlin have been friends for 6 years.
Since 2017.
Which
is crazy.
I know, it's so crazy.
That's a long time ago.
I know. But we're best friends. We're basically sisters.
Yeah. Pretty much.
We're with each other 24/7. Make it till we look like twins.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
I don't see it as much as other people do.
I don't see it like other people.
But people ask if we're twins.
I see how we could look related.
Yeah.
Twins. I don't see it. But I appreciate it nonetheless.
But we appreciate it a lot.
Yeah. I'm like, thank you.
Okay. So, to get into the episode, we have some fun things today. Do you want to start off controversial?
Let's start controversial.
Controversial
Let's
immediately
out the gate. Talk about it.
Okay, we're gonna talk about the reading order. So should we do like how we read it, and then like
to preface,
to
be like, this is how we read it.
Okay.
Because I can go. I have thoughts.
I have opinions.
I have opinions on this.
So I read Throne of Glass 2 years ago.
So true.
So I started it like 2020.
You were in high school.
I was in high school when I started the series. I read all of them up until Kingdom of Ash. I stopped. And I couldn't get myself. It's like a thing. I can't read the last book in the series. And then I finally did this year. But so I read them almost 2 years ago. And when I went to read Throne of Glass, I like looked up the reading order. It was very confusing.
Oh yeah, everyone tells you
everyone's
different things.
Yeah, everyone's like, you have to read it this way, you have to read it that way.
It's either like first, third, or fourth.
Yeah, and I was so confused. I was on TikTok like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
like, I don't understand. There was no like set list by like Sarah J. Maas, and I was like, what the hell do I do? And then I came across a video where a girl was like, chronologically, if you want to read it this way, read The Assassin's Blade first. And me personally, I knew, like, watching those videos, I knew that The Assassin's Blade was going to be, like, the prequel to Selena's character. And I just know myself. I knew if I read Throne of Glass and I read The Assassin's Blade after, I was not going to want to read it. Because if it's a prequel and I'm reading it, like, third or fourth in the series, I'm not going to enjoy it and I'm not going to want to read it.
No, because you've already, you know what happens.
And I can't do it. Like, I will totally skip it. Yeah. So that's why I made the decision to read it first. And I loved it that way.
First.
Yeah.
I read it first.
But I did not sway her in any way. I told her to
I did my own research. There is a thing people say, and I don't agree. And we're going to go right out of the gate with it. Reading Assassin's Blade 3rd is not a romantic reading order.
No, it's not.
Not even in the slightest.
Because how is it romantic?
How is that romantic? I'm going to warn everyone.
Oh, this is spoiler, by the way.
Spoiler. Please don't watch if you haven't, or listen, whatever, if you haven't read any Throne of Glass. If you don't
care, then you don't care.
Yeah, whatever. But, like, the Assassin's Blade, there is in no way any romanticness. I mean, a little bit, but by the end of it, he's dead.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, Sam dies at the end. How is reading that third romantic in any sense?
Because I feel like, okay, no hate, but all the hate in a way. But I feel like sometimes when people say, like, this is the romantic reading order, I think that's just a way to, like, sway people to read it. Because to me, I think it's more like romantic and like sad to like fall in love with his character, and then you aren't expecting his death.
Yeah.
Whereas when you start Throne of Glass, they're just talking about this character that you have no idea who he is.
I feel like his death hits harder when you don't know he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like when you read Throne of Glass, she talks about him and she's like, you know he's dead.
Yeah.
And it's like when you read Assassin's Blade after that, you're like, how am I supposed to get into Sam? Because you know what happens to him. He's dead. But if you go into the Assassin's Blade first, you don't know anything about Sam. You know nothing about Selena.
Exactly.
You, like, get into her and her backstory. And, like, Sam dying is, like, such a big thing. They mention it throughout the whole series. And if you read it third, how do you get connected to such a big part of the series?
Exactly. And especially, like, as Selena's character, if you start with Throne of Glass, you have no idea why she is the way she is. And at that point, if you've already read The Assassin's Blade, you understand why she's so closed off in that sense, and why it takes her so long to get to where she is because of what she just experienced.
Yeah, I feel like you can't understand the magnitude of the death without...
Such a big word.
Oh, thank you. Without reading that first. Because even with Throne of Glass, like, I was so ready to get into, like, the book of Throne of Glass after reading The Assassin's Blade.
And it can be boring if you, like, start with it.
I could see how if you start with Throne of Glass, you might not pick up the rest of it, because Throne of Glass does have a lot. I mean, going from Assassin's Blade to Throne of Glass, it's like a completely different.
Yeah.
She's changing, like she's doing other things, like it's your world building all over again.
Yep.
So like, if you don't read the Assassin's Blade, I feel like you can't get into it because you're like, I don't understand. Like, again, spoiler, but Throne of Glass starts with her being a slave. Like,
exactly.
How can you understand why she's
so
there?
Confused?
Yeah, and you're like, I don't get any of this. You don't understand her anger. You don't understand any of it if you don't read the Assassin's Blade first. And I stand by that.
We stand by that.
Stand by that.
I'm sorry to Sarah J. Maas. I know she came out recently, I guess, and said to read it like a certain way. But I don't agree.
I can't get behind it.
I can't get behind it. And I know there's other booktubers out there that have read it third, and they say they read it.
I've literally heard people read it third and they read it first, like when they reread it and they're like, read it first. And I'm like, yeah, exactly.
I mean, I just think you should do your own research. I think depending on what type of reader you are and like how you want to experience a series is up to you. But
for sure, but it's also like when someone tells you that it's a romantic reading order, it's not. It's
like there's nothing. I don't agree with that.
There's like, I feel like the one thing I'm like absolutely not is that it's not a romantic reading order, third or fourth. There's no romance that like fixes the death. Like
exactly,
not at all. Like you carry Sam throughout the whole series.
Yeah, and
I feel,
in what she
and
says,
so does she, Selena.
Yeah, like in what she says.
Like, I'm Selena.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, she talks about it. But no, like
she says, I am Selena Sardonian.
And I feel like that whole line, you can't understand it. I mean, you can understand it. Not that you can't, don't. But like you don't get it
until you get to the book and you see that he says it.
Yeah, and she uses that to Kingdom of Ash. She never stopped saying that until the end of Kingdom of Ash.
As she should.
And I love
well, if you heard it here first.
If you very strong opinions over here.
Very strong opinions. If you care how we read it and you want our opinions, those are it. You read it.
Very strong ones too. I'm passionate about reading order.
You read it first. That's why it's right here.
Just a little hint.
This is
how you read it.
This is how you read it.
Please. Just if you take anything, please read it first. Just try it. Just try it.
And even if you've already read it, that sucks.
Yeah, even if you've already read it, reread it with Assassin's Blade first. And I promise it changes everything.
It really does.
It does.
But I mean, even if you reread it though, like
I mean, you already know what happens. Yeah,
but I feel like also it sucks though because majority of people who go to read Throne of Glass, like they already know like about Sam because everyone
talks about Sam.
Everyone's like, where's Aelin and Rowan? And they start off and it's Selena and they're like, who's Selena? And it's like,
and who's Sam? I don't know how many TikToks I've seen that are like, I'm reading about this like Selena and Sam, like where's Aelin and Rowan? And I'm like,
just wait.
You just have to hold on. I see so many TikToks. And I'm like, you just have to experience it. It's a canon thing. You have to experience it.
And
canon event, and like you can't interfere. You have to just
can't interfere.
You can't. You just have to let it happen.
It's an experience. I for sure think. Because when I read it, it was very prevalent, like, on TikTok.
Yeah.
I definitely think some things were spoiled for me that, like, I wish weren't. And I think if I would have experienced it, like, without TikTok, I would have enjoyed it more.
For sure. I feel like the best way to read Throne of Glass is completely blind.
Yeah.
I think don't spoil anything for yourself. I think...
As we spoil it all.
Yeah. But I mean, like, if you for real, like, really want to read it, do not watch this, like... I think reading it blind is so much better.
It's so much better.
Because knowing things kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say ruin it because it's still really good, but like it doesn't hit the same when you like expect something to happen. Mm-hmm. But I will say a lot of things on TikTok, they might be spoiled, but how they happen, people don't really.
No, they don't say why.
They don't really say why.
And especially with Kingdom of Ash, like I think I only saw like 2 spoilers for Kingdom of Ash. Majority of the things that are spoiled are in Empire of Storms.
Yeah, I see a lot of spoilers for Empire of Storms.
Yeah.
Nothing for the... Kingdom of Ash didn't really get spoiled for me. Thank God. But I don't see a lot of TikToks on, like, spoilers of Kingdom of Ash.
I don't either. The only thing that I got spoiled for... Well, I would always see, like, the live, man, and live. But I didn't know, like, what it meant until, like, I got to that point. And then I did see TikTok where the girls say, like, when you get to the end of the book and the main character's, like, loses her powers.
Yeah.
And that did happen. And someone put, like, Aelin or, like, Throne of Glass. And, like, I saw it and I was
That's what I saw. I saw that kind of TikTok where it was, like...
The same one, I think.
Probably. And everyone in the comments was, like, Aelin Galathinius. And I'm like... And I hadn't read it at that point. So I was like... Dang.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't.
At the time, whenever you were starting to read, like, you didn't even read fantasy. You were a very different type of reader.
So different, it's crazy.
She only read, like, lighthearted romances. And she had to read the end. Like, she had to know the end of the book before she got it. I couldn't
read a book if it wasn't, like...
Happy.
It was always the cartoon covered books. And I had to know every single detail about it. I had to know everything. How it ended.
She, like, in the bookstore, like, she would, like, flip to the end of the page. And she would, like, read the back of the book book before she bought it.
And if it wasn't good, I wasn't reading it.
No.
Which is so crazy. And it's crazy to me that Throne of Glass was my very first fantasy series.
I know.
But it changed me as a reader. Sure.
And I feel bad because I feel like I spoiled so much for you too. Because at the time I would ask her and you'd be like, well, I'm never going to read it. And then you did.
I did. But also a lot of the things you told me, I forgot about until like I was reading it. And I was like, oh my God, they're very vague.
Because
you didn't really spoil like small
so
details.
much that happens. It's hard to like, I don't know.
Like to lead in. But like the whole like Selena to Aelin thing.
Yeah.
Like I knew she was Aelin. Like
yeah.
I knew that she was eventually going to be Aelin. How we got there is not something that I knew. So that whole
finding
situation
out that
was crazy.
Knew the whole time
was insane.
It was insane.
I did not that I didn't see coming.
I thought that we were gonna like. I knew like. I feel like it's very prevalent when you're going to Throne and Glass and it's talking about this like queen that's like disappeared and you obviously are reading through the main character's perspective and it's like this character is going to become the queen.
Yeah.
And so I knew that, but I didn't know that Aelin already knew she was the queen. Like I didn't know that like she knew and we were just over here is gonna be gagged.
Yeah, I thought I knew something she didn't. I was like, no, I know something you don't. I thought like I knew and she didn't. Yeah. And I was so when she was like because she had told Kale or she like alluded it to Kale to like find out and I was like this bitch knew.
It's like
that's crazy.
Have you seen the meme where it's like they're telling Aelin or I think it's in Queen of Shadows or one of the beginning, I don't remember which one it was in, but he was talking about like how Aelin the queen was like building an army
and she's like kind of Midnight
and she's like, oh I am.
Yeah, because in Kind of Midnight, they're like, there's like a rebellion, and she's like trying to like find it or something because of I'm gonna say her name wrong, Nehemia. She's like trying to find it for like Nehemia or whatever, and they're like, oh, like everyone thinks Aelin Galathanes is building an army, and she's like, Aelin's dead.
What do you mean?
What do you mean she's building an army? And she's like,
and secretly, she's like,
I don't see an army that I'm building.
She's like, I am.
She's so sassy and I love it.
I think if I were to ever reread it, I think I would catch her with those subtle clues of her like already knowing she's Aelin and we just like don't know. We're clueless.
Yeah, because I don't think you pick up on that stuff.
No.
Even if you know that she's Aelin, you don't know like
the
whole thing about it. And I think that's what I liked about a lot of the scenes in the series.
Well, I think Aelin throughout the entire series, she does that a lot. And I've seen the theories too of like why Aelin refuses to tell anybody the thing she's going to do because the one time she did with Sam, he died. And so you see like throughout the entire series, even in Kingdom of Ash, like she'll make decisions and like you'll know she's going to do something, but we have no idea what she's going to do until she does it because she won't tell anybody.
She always gives like 60% of the plan. Yeah. And then she has like the other 40 like in her head. Yeah. And she like doesn't tell anybody. Like, nobody knows it. Know. Yeah, she's like, I have my own thing. And each time I was gagged every single time because they would plan something and she would like do the exact opposite or like have her own plan. I don't know how many times I like
and then everyone turn around and be like, where's Aelin? And she's like fucking trying to sacrifice like, herself.
Yeah, she's like over here. Like she did that in every single book. Air of Fire to the end.
Oh my god.
She did that so many times. Yeah. And she never told Rowan, even him. She was like, I'm not telling Rowan anything. I felt
so like even
I was in the same boat as him. We're in the same situation.
Well, in Kingdom of Ash, like I was like so sad because we're gonna be all over the place with this. But in Kingdom of Ash, like I was so sad whenever she would sacrifice herself and when everybody else, like that scene where they were trying to decide who was gonna go, Doran or her, and everyone voted Aelin. And Rowan went to ask for her vote and she was like, it doesn't even matter what my vote is. Like, and I'm like that, like, no, like you're the queen. Like, what do you mean?
I really don't get that part just because like, she's the queen. She's the queen and like everyone was waiting for her.
Exactly.
Like everyone
wanted her to save the world.
Everyone was waiting for Aelin.
Yeah.
And I feel like choosing to like sacrifice her knowing what the power she held
like,
I think it's like crazy.
Even the big war
like before the huge war at the end, like you know what Erewhon and Maeve and all those Vlag are afraid of, it's fire. And for you to sacrifice the one person in that whole group that has fire is crazy. Like I love Dorian so much, I think but he doesn't have fire.
If they closed the gates it would have sent them home. Right?
Yeah, don't even get me started. Everyone was mad at her. She came out. She found a way to survive that whole situation. And then everyone was pissed at her because she didn't defeat Erewhon or whatever.
Because she tried to what is it?
She tried to save Elena's life.
Because
she was like, I don't want her to be like wiped from existence. And then the gods were like, I don't care. The gods were like, I don't care, and they like did it anyway. And then they walked off and were like, you can keep Erewhon. Like, so no matter what she did, like, the gods were gonna like, betray her no matter what. So for her to leave, exactly. So for her to leave and for everyone to be mad at her
is ridiculous.
For trying to like save herself is crazy.
Also, like the gods, like that.
Fuck them gods.
I was like so pissed off whole series. Mala. Yeah,
I love her.
But like the whole series, like the whole Elena situation was like making me mad because it's like,
because why are you so vague?
Like she was
she didn't help her at all.
No.
And I stand by that. Elena didn't do shit.
Because I don't think she wanted to go back. Because
no, she was prolonging the inevitable.
She was prolonging it because she wanted to stay with her mate. Like that's why she didn't do what she needed to do.
But while she's like, you know, living her life and like whatever, like Selena, Aylin's dying over here. The whole group is like
going to shit.
Yeah, everyone's burning and dying. Everyone's becoming Vlad. And like she's like, but I'm with my mate. I'm heavy with my mate. And I'm like, y'all, come on.
Yeah.
Like the only person that helped her was Elena's dad, Brandon.
So
she's the only one that like helped her at all.
And like even thinking about the series like from the beginning to like the end, it's so different because it's like how much it's like Sarah J. Maas like started the series and then was like, okay, I want to go completely left field,
completely over here. It's crazy how like Assassin's Blade Throne of Glass was like such a small little idea of like her becoming the champion assassin or whatever.
We talked about this. We like how Throne of Glass through Crown of Midnight is like the folklore love triangle, and then after that it's just like straight reputation.
It's just straight reputation, hints of Evermore.
Yeah,
I want to say something that's so sad. I think Kingdom of Ash the book is like Evermore the song for Aelin.
Do you want to go into the next like the characters and like
we can do that because
we thought we thought about this idea of like associating like different characters with like Taylor Swift songs.
Like if they were to sit down and put on a Taylor album, like which one would they enjoy the most? I'm gonna start. Dorian's is 1989. I fully believe that Dorian's is 1989.
He just gives like golden retriever vibes.
Yeah,
like, he's like
I feel like he would put on a pop song and just dance.
Like, I could just hear him being like, welcome to New York, it's been waiting for you.
He would so do that.
Yeah.
And like the man would love Slut.
Oh my god, yes, he would
love
I can
Slut.
Imagine him singing Slut and the man is just looking at him like,
girl, what are you doing?
What the fuck are you doing?
Like he would love 1989. He would love 1989 Taylor's version.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He would be wrapped up in Taylor's version.
He would be in that.
He'd be like, yo, is this Taylor's version?
Is it Taylor's version?
You're like,
if
check
it's
yourself.
Not,
put it on.
Try again.
That's not Taylor's version. He would for sure be like all up in it. He'd like, I know every single thing about it.
Well, going off of that, I would for sure say that Manon is Reputation.
Oh, throughout the whole thing, Manon is Reputation.
Like she is just like, and I have loved Manon from the very start. Like even in the beginning when like her and Aelin were like getting at each other.
I think they're just two.
I think they're just really two bad bitches.
Yeah, they're badasses.
Bitches.
Two bad bitches.
If I said that wrong.
I don't know. Oh well.
But I just think they're like both strong as fuck.
Oh yeah.
And like I knew when they were gonna come together, like it was gonna be like so powerful. I think
their friendship is like elite, just because they're like so similar but also different, and they're both bad bitches. Like and they kill it every single time.
And at the end, like,
and they both been through such loss.
Yeah, and at the end, whenever like they're sitting down and like there's like a scene that someone drew, and it's like
it's so sad.
It's Manon sitting with Abraxas, and like Aelin walks over and sits down with her, and she's like, "We're gonna build like a monument for the 13," and like they just sit in silence.
And they just sit in silence because I think both of them understand each other on like a different
so much
level.
For their people.
Yeah, like Manon did everything for the 13 and for her people, and like she wanted to do the right thing. At the end of the day, Manon really wanted to do the right thing. And I think what sucks is I feel like people judge her a lot in the beginning, but I feel like they don't understand like
her as a character.
Like, yeah, she's really complex
and
in the
what
beginning.
She goes through, like, if you think about it, like she was doing all of these things because she was told to without knowing that was
she didn't
her
have
family.
Yeah, she didn't have the knowledge she did at the end. Yeah, like her freaking stupid grandmother, like she's the one that did that to her. And I feel like if we're gonna be mad at a character, it needs to be the grandma.
Exactly.
Like Manon, all she was doing was what she thought and what she had been taught was the right thing to do.
Exactly.
And that's all she ever knew.
And at the end of the day,
and you see her like struggle.
Oh,
you see her struggle so much with like switching that way of thinking. I feel like,
and it's hard. And you see her literally have that like mental battle with herself of like, do I do what I was raised to do, or do I do what I believe is the right thing?
Yeah, and she struggles such a battle, and I think
so much with that.
I think the person who really helped her like change like that was Astrid.
Oh,
rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P.
But I think Astrid telling her story really like shifted her.
Oh yeah,
her brain and like how she thought and like the whole
sister
baby
situation.
Yeah, like the sister thing, her killing her sister and everything, not on purpose, but
not on purpose.
Like I just feel like she's such a complex character, and I feel like people need to realize she's a complex character.
If I had to like rate it, like Aylin's number 1, but like Manon is my number 2 any day. Like I will defend her till the end of my days.
The defending.
Oh yeah,
because
and
like,
Abraxas, and then can we talk about the fact that like Abraxas like loses his mate? Like
he
that is
her.
Like that is so sad. Like seeing the videos of him just so like sad. They're sitting on the ground crying on the floor, and like there's no ashes to like bring back to their home.
Yeah, like they're gone.
They're completely gone.
Like, and I think also because Astrid can't go back to the cabin.
Oh yeah,
Astrid cannot go back to the cabin.
Manon won't be able to bring her body back to the cabin, and I'm
just thinking in the afterlife or wherever she's at is like she's with him. She's with him and her baby. I just know
it's so sad.
I know it's so sad, but I think that's what makes the ending scene between Aylin and Manon so beautiful. Is because 100%. They both get it. They're like, we've been through a lot. Out of
all the characters, at the end of the day, I think Manon understands Aylin the most.
I think
because of everything that they have to both go through. I think
they're like, we both did our best to like get here, and like I think also because there's like a scene, I don't remember which book it was in, where like Manon, I think she kills someone or something.
Which one? Who did she kill?
I don't remember exactly, but like I don't remember, but like Aylin had told her, she was like, I think of like the names of the people I killed like all the time.
Yeah.
And she was like, I think like it never really
goes away.
It never goes away. Like,
yeah.
And I think that's why they understood each other, because they're like, we've done some like truly fucked up things, but like at the end of the day, I get you, because we've been doing it for everyone else. Like we're sacrificing so much of ourselves for everyone else.
And they would do it again
and they would do it again. And I think that sucks, because we're like, yeah, it sucks to kill, and it sucks to like have to do something like that, but like I get it. You never forget those people.
No, never.
You never do, but like I understand you, and I think that's why like the end is so beautiful, because they just sat in silence, because they both knew.
And
like,
I think they needed that. Like when Sarah wrote that, I was like, that makes sense for those characters.
Yeah, they needed to sit in silence and be like,
and also the
silently, I understand you.
The fact that the 13 like had like secretly talked about that like before, like that's what hurts my feelings.
So
and I saw
heartbreaking.
it coming. Like whenever like they all like looked at each other whenever Abraxas got hurt, I thought Abraxas was gonna die.
I thought Abraxas was about to
die. And
I
was about to be like I was about to shut the book and be like, no, I'm not finishing this. Like I refuse. But he didn't die. Thank God. But you know, everyone else did. And then I really do think though that the way that she wrote the 13's death was very beautiful, and how they went out. I think that was the perfect way.
I think that is if you were gonna write a 13 death, that is the only way you could have written it.
Yeah,
I think any other way would have been a disservice to the characters and who they were, like the 13 in general. I think if you're gonna write something of the 13 dying, it has to be sacrificing themselves for Manon.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Just because, especially Astrid,
because they did everything for her.
her, and they loved her, and they helped her through this transition.
You know what? I think it's like kind of giving that Manon did everything for the 13, so that was the 13's way for doing it for her.
Yeah, and they saw her change.
Oh,
from like. Even like when
because
Astrid,
there was like struggling between them for a while. Like when her and Astrid got into it.
They got into it, but I think also Astrid gave her grace just because she understood that Manon didn't know everything that she did. And I think when Astrid when the grandma almost made Manon like kill Astrid, like behead her or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I remember why. I don't remember,
but I read it like so long ago.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly why. She was because Manon killed
did she kill the other witch?
She killed the yellow leg.
Oh yeah, she killed the other witch.
They went to trial, and they're like, well, we're gonna kill Astrid.
An eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye. And so they're like, but Manon, you're gonna do it.
Oh yeah.
And then
she refused.
Manon was like, no. And she like fought her grandma and everything. I feel like the 13 kind of like, that's when they're like, she's changing, like she's coming.
I'm really proud and happy that she let Astrid have like the last kill for the grandmother.
Oh, for sure.
I think that was like the perfect way.
I think the only person who could have killed that grandma is Astrid.
Because, oh fuck yeah. She needed
the grandma
that.
did the most to Astrid.
Oh, 100%.
And I think it was so powerful how she talked about her like taking off her jacket and like showing the unclean.
Oh my god, I cried. I sobbed.
Like, I think, though I wish it didn't happen, I think the death was so beautifully written and really like helped the ache.
Well, it's funny because so I read Kingdom of Ash in like 2 days. And in those 2 days, the way that I called Caitlin, crying my eyes out, like every like 30 minutes, I called her sobbing. And I'm an emotional person. Like I will 100% cry during every movie we watch, every book that we watch, or every book that we watch, every book that we read, I will cry. And well, not every book. It takes a lot for me. But Kingdom of Ash, I think I loved so much. And coming back to the series after 2 years, it was very emotional for me. And I was very scared because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I was just crying like the whole time. And so Caitlin was like, oh my God, like what is going on? Because she was finishing up the tandem read. And oh my gosh. And even going into like Lorcan and Elaide. How do we pronounce this?
How to pronounce their name.
Fuck. We're going to say Elaide. I'm gonna say Elaide.
I used to call her Elodie.
Elodie?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'll go with Elaide though.
Elaide.
I can go with Elaide.
The more I say it, the more it sounds wrong.
Yeah, but it's okay.
But one of them is right. Okay, so I will say, but I stand by this. I am a Lorcan lover, 100%. Lorcan stan. There's no Lorcan hate. And whenever she was, because in Empire of Storms, like you obviously don't like Lorcan, and at that point, like I had finished the tandem read or whatever, and I was in Kingdom of Ash, and I loved Lorcan, and every time they talk shit about him, I'd be like stop it. But like I wouldn't say anything. I just like let them, I had to let them go through the motions.
Go through it. But I think that's what makes like his character arc, I guess you could say, so like wonderful.
Oh my god,
it's like you like hate him at the end of Empire. You're like, I think because all through Empire she's kind of like giving him this like, you like him.
And it was funny too, the way that like she had the keys the whole time. And he was like, you had them the whole time. It's like, what was she supposed to do?
Yeah.
Was she supposed to be like, here's the thing that you're looking for?
Yeah.
Like, no.
And I think at the beginning of Empire you don't like him because you get a bit of him. What's the book before that? Queen of Shadows. And at the end of Queen of Shadows, you're kind of like, who's this Lorcan kid? Like, I don't really like him that much.
Yeah.
Like,
well, he was also like Maeve's like bitch.
Yeah, and he like, when you meet him in Queen of Shadows, he's doing something for Maeve.
And he wants to kill Aelin.
Fuck this Lorcan guy. And then all through Empire, she kind of builds him up.
Yeah.
She kind of makes you like him again, and you're like, and then you're rooting for them. You're rooting for Lorcan and Elaide, and like you kind of see it. And then you get to the end, and she fucking destroys that shit. You hate him.
The way she wrote it, too. And then you, like, hate him because you think he's crawling towards Maeve.
And he's not. And I think that was a part in Kingdom of Ash that made me really sad. Was it's kind of beautiful how much he was begging for Elaide to just listen to him all throughout the first half of Kingdom of Ash.
Sad. And even the other characters were like, he wasn't like, listen to him, and
like,
she's like, no.
And Gavriel
rest
in peace,
my baby,
was like, he means what he means it. Like, he wouldn't like lie to you like that. And I think a part in Kingdom of Ash that made me tear up was when Lorcan and Elaide were arguing.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, well, you crawled to Maeve, and he was like, I wasn't. I was crawling to Aelin. And I was like, oh, fuck, dude. I was like, that killed me. I was like, fuck.
And then what hurt
me? Feel bad for hating him.
Oh yeah. Well, what okay, the hardest part, I think, of Kingdom of Ash, like, where I really did like sob, that was not a death, was the scene, because I knew something bad was going to happen as soon as she was like, I don't care if you come off that battlefield or not. And then, everyone, because I feel like Lorcan is a character that like kind of everyone like really like forgot about, and like they kind of all push him to the side. And like
he's kind of underrated.
He's underrated, and
in the book and out of it.
And I remember after that scene, after whatever the battle, they're all sitting there, and she's like, where's Lorcan? And like everyone's like just talking, and she's like, where is he? And they're like, we don't know. Last time we saw him, he was over there yonder.
Yeah.
And the dam was breaking, and like all these things were happening, and they're like, everyone's gonna die. Like everyone on that field is gonna die. Yeah. And the first thing that Elaide does is she literally jumps on a horse
and goes
and starts
to Lorcan.
booking it to Lorcan, like does not care. And and she was just screaming his name, and I was just sitting there like tears just fucking streaming
was so sad.
down my face.
I didn't cry during that part just because I was so stressed out. Like, my anxiety level was through the roof. Like, she couldn't find him. And then when she did find him and she got him on the horse, he was like, I'm going to jump off this horse because I'm too heavy.
And he was like, we're not going to make it. Like, you have to let me go. And then the way he was like, I love you. Like, I've loved you from the very first moment. I was like, oh my God,
the
Lorcan.
whole scene of him being like, I love you, but you have to, like,
let me go.
You have to let me go. And she was like, bitch, no.
She's like, no.
She's like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I think that was so beautiful. I also think because of how much she didn't like him, I think for Lorcan to see her, like, refuse, I think he was like, okay, she loves me.
She loves me.
She loves me.
It's like, does she love me? She loves me not.
She loves me. And he was like, oh, fuck, she loves me. Oh, he's like, but you gotta let me go, though.
But you gotta let me go. But they made it. Have you seen the thing too? Oh, I forgot what it's called. What is Kale's horse called? Because
it was like hell, he called her like hell something,
because I saw something,
Hellas,
there's
Hellas or something like
something
that.
like that. Well, I saw a thing on TikTok where someone was talking about how like Lorcan and like his power, whatever, like it comes from this like person. I could be the god, like, so I could be so wrong. Exactly. And whenever she was on the horse running, oh my gosh, Kale like made a comment about his horse, and the horse name was that, and someone on TikTok like made like a connection between the two, and I was like, that's really cool how she was like riding the horse, and like the horse's name was like whatever the fuck.
Well, I like, because before she got on the horse, she like looked at the horse and she was like, I need to get to like Lorcan.
Yeah.
And then the horse was like, cool, and like just like let her get on him, and they started running.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
and
I just so crazy.
I pictured
and then
in my
Aelin
head,
pops the fuck out.
Oh, she just comes out of nowhere, of course. And she was like,
everyone's like, where's Aelin?
And then they turn around
and they
and
see her
gone.
She's like on the ground, like spraying fire everywhere, and I'm like,
and then at that moment when they realized that she was like holding all that power in for 3
months. Well, because at the end when she like gets rescued or whatever, she like wasn't using her power, and you see Rowan mentioned many times that like he never sees her like even like a little bit of like release or anything, like she doesn't touch it.
She was like going into like water and like
trying to cool off, because she was like, I'm not doing anything with it. And everyone thought it was because of like what happened. I mean, it was, but I mean, they thought she wasn't touching it because Maeve made her feel bad about her powers, and then it comes out that she was like, no, I was just like getting 3 months worth.
She was like, I'm trying to kill this bitch.
She's like, I'm trying to like flame her ass, like I want her dead, and I want my fire to do it. And like, I think that was crazy, because even I thought she wasn't touching her fire because of like what happened with Maeve.
Well, even to go into that, like that was such a hard thing to read. I've only ever read another book, and that was Haunting Adeline. I'm just gonna say that, like, I read that book, and in that second book it was so hard to read because, you know, the trigger warnings of everything that happened, and reading this enslavement of, you know, Maeve's, what is it called, Maeve capturing Aelin and like enslaving her and like putting her in chains and like mind fucking her and like making her see these things that like weren't true. Like, that was so hard to read, and especially because it happened for so long. Like, that was how long was it? 3 months?
Like, I think they said the exact thing in the book. It's like 2 months, like 30 something days.
Like, even though, I mean, regardless, like that's still so long.
Dude, did you hear the thing? I saw this thing. They're like, because once Maeve gets out, but I agree, it was hard to read. But I mean, like, there's a part, I saw it on TikTok. They like made this connection because Aelin gets rescued or whatever, and she asks Rowan like, how long was I there? Oh. And he says like 2 months, 3 something days, or whatever.
3 seconds.
Yeah. And then they go, there's like a scene, and I think it's Assassin's Blade, and it was between her and Sam. And they say like it was 2 hours, 3 something, like blah, like 7 seconds.
Stop.
Where Rowan said like 6 seconds. And someone said if he was a second later, would Aelin have died? Because after that, because the scene in the Assassin's Blade had been like 2 hours or whatever, and he had been dead.
Oh my god.
And so someone was like,
I never saw that.
And someone was like, if Rowan had waited 1 more second, would Aelin have died? Because it was 1 second shorter than Sam. And
she was planning on dying. And that scene whenever Fenris, you know, broke his blood, what is it called? Blood oath to Maeve, which literally was gonna kill him, and he made that decision because she was gonna commit, you know, trigger warning, but she was gonna commit suicide. When you're reading that scene, like, she's literally talking about like, I'm gonna end it, because at that moment she doesn't believe that anyone's coming for her, and she's like,
that was heartbreaking. Like, I think she lost the will to live when Maeve told her, like, Rowan's not coming.
Yeah,
because she told him not to come.
Because even though she
thought he was still gonna come for her.
Even though she was like, I told him not to come, I think there was like a little part of her like that had hope and that was holding on. And when she was told that they were not,
when Maeve told her that they were in Terracin, she was like,
she was going to get the flag things and the flag collars which was a ruse because Rowan had lied about it to get her to go out, but it was fake, but Aelin didn't know that. And she was like, I would rather die than let her put a collar on me.
Yeah. That whole thing was like so sad. And when I saw that connection on TikTok, I was like, I don't even know if Sarah J. Maas like thought of, she probably did, knowing her.
Probably.
But I mean, that whole, I was like, oh my God, like if they had waited just like a little bit longer, she would have been dead. And I think that's so sad.
It is really sad.
That whole thing was sad. Like the whole getting captured and thing. And like it lasted so spoiler for like 30 chapters.
Oh yeah.
And like she did not get rescued
because
like,
I have chapter 33 engraved into my brain because that's the chapter when she's like take it off and she's like sobbing crying to take the damn thing off and they can't get it off. Like that is like engraved in my brain.
And I think that part is also so sad because before or after, when she says, she doesn't say anything else. Before that, she doesn't say anything. The only thing she says is take it off. Yeah. And after they take it off, she doesn't speak again for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's so sad. And then Fenris was also so sad. Fenris' story is sad until the end of Kingdom of Ash. I don't think that man ever gets peace. The whole blink thing.
Oh my gosh.
Like, even the end.
The way they communicate through the whole book with blinks.
Even to the end of Kingdom of Ash, towards the end of Kingdom of Ash when they're doing that big fight with Maeve.
Yeah.
And like she gets in Rowan, Lorcan, and Fenris's head. And the only person that Aelin wasn't able to like really free was Fenris.
Yeah.
Until she like blinked with him. And he was like, this is like fake or whatever. Like this isn't real. Also, to get into every single one of those images, Lorcan's biggest fear was Elide rejecting him.
Oh,
that's so sad.
Yeah, that is really sad.
That was so freaking sad.
The way whenever that scene was happening and Maeve was like controlling all their minds and it went to Lorcan and it was with her, I was like, that's is so sad because they had just, got through all of that. And and it's, to go back into that, like she was his whole world. Like I really think that like if it wasn't for her, like I don't think that he would have like kept going.
I think what's also really sad is even when he like almost died, like that was something.
That was a good one.
Thank you. Even when he almost died, like he didn't think anybody cared about him.
Oh no.
Like even like
no one acted like they did.
No. And like I think it was so heartbreaking to see everyone like, or him to think everyone hated him. And I think a lot of them didn't. Like Fenris did. I know Fenris didn't, but I mean
I don't think Gabrielle
had a problem with him.
Fenris didn't like him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like Fenris hated him. I think the only person that didn't really like hate him was Gabrielle, because he kind of defended him a little bit.
And to go into that, Gabrielle's death, like it's so sad.
That is like
Adian. Okay,
the whole Gabrielle's death is where I cried the hardest.
Yeah.
The context of like the whole situation, the whole scene was so sad.
Because like throughout the entire thing, we see like Adian like hate his father. Yeah. And like he wants nothing. And in Kingdom of Ash and like kind of throughout the other books, like Adian is like, I feel like so mad all the time. Like he's like angry.
Has anger issues.
Like he has anger issues. He says stuff. And like, granted, like I think that just goes into like his character of like everything he's been through. Like that's why he reacts the way he does. Yeah. But like the whole thing with him and his dad was like really sad because all his dad wanted, like Gabrielle did everything for Adian, and especially in Kingdom of Ash when he went through all of that, like that was all for his son. Like he did it for him.
I think it's so crazy though. For Adian specifically, like he never gave his dad grace. And like I can understand why he was upset and everything, but Gabrielle didn't know.
He didn't.
Like he didn't know he existed. And like even when he figured it out, like all he wanted to do was go to Adian. That's all he wanted. He wanted to go to Adian. He wanted to make that relationship right. And I think that's why his death hurt so much.
And hearing him talk about it too, like on the boat and stuff.
He literally calls Adian his pride.
Oh yeah, he like talks about like that, how like that's his son, like that's his pride and joy. Like Oh my gosh, like, and
he's so proud of him and like
so
everything he's done, and he's like, my son is like really strong. The saddest scene, and I think it was an Empire when they were in Skulls Bay, and Adian like does something, he like saves someone or something, and Gavriel's like that's my son, like Aww. He like is so, he kills it out there, and he's talking about how like he wants them to make a song out of like Adian's gonna have songs written about him, and he's like, is he even gonna like remember me? Like Gavriel says that, and then you see at the end of like Kingdom of Ash, I think it was either Adian or Rowan, they say like some like there's gonna be like songs about his sacrifice. And I was like, that is so sad.
I think it makes it worse because when we finally get to the ending of Kingdom of Ash and Gavriel walks up to Adian, and Adian, you know, they talk and they're like, we're gonna do this together. And I think at that moment Gavriel was like, okay, in my opinion, I think that his death was like uncalled for. I think it could have been prevented. However, I think in that moment he thought that there was nothing else he could do but do what he was gonna do. He was like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself for my son. And he was okay with that because in that moment Adian had accepted him. And the way that he like smiled and was like, we're gonna do this together, and then he commits suicide.
I think he did it because he finally got, I don't want to say closure, but like he got closure from his son, knowing acceptance from him, and being like, he wanted to fix things with me, like I'm not dying with my son hating me. And I think that's like so sad.
And then you're reading it, and then Adian realizes like that he's, and you can like literally in the moments you read it in like seconds as like Adian's like he's walking away and like he's not realizing it, and then like the door shut, and then he just starts running, and he like runs up the gates. And also rude of Sarah to write his death that way.
I agree.
I did not need to know that his throat was ripped out.
I did not need to know that information.
I didn't need to know that. Like
you could have kept that to yourself.
You could have kept that to yourself.
I did not need to know that information.
And you know, just the talking about like in the light like was there and then it goes out. Like you could have left it at that. Already sad enough.
I was already crying at that point.
But to go to
ripping up the throat.
Yes, to go to Rowan's point of view, and then it's like his throat was ripped out. I'm like, okay.
Even in Adian's point of view, they like say that because he defeated a lot of Vlag when he was in front of the thing, and he said that he sees piles of Vlag, and he looks and he sees I don't remember the exact words, but he was like, there's like his father with his throat ripped out.
Oh my god.
And I was like
uncalled
for what?
Why
like you didn't have to do that to me. Like I was already crying.
I was good without that information.
And like the whole scene was so hard because it's from Adian's point of view, and he's like, my body's too heavy, like I can't reach it in time. And I'm like, this is so sad. Like he was finally ready to like accept his dad and like have his dad in his life and like,
oh my gosh,
have a relationship, and then Gavriel just dies.
Yeah. Well, I feel like Adian throughout the entire book of Kingdom of Ash, like he was so angry at everybody, and I'm like, why are we mad? Like anybody could die at any moment.
He was mad at everybody for the longest, and I don't think he realized, I mean, I think he did, he was in like the middle of it, but I don't think he really thought like these people can die. You know what I mean? I think he was so focused on winning
the whole Lysandra thing like pissed me off. Granted, I loved when they like talk to each other and they're like in another life. And I was really like, beautiful. I was like, stop right now. However, I think Lysandra was very justified in like her telling him to leave, because he kicked her out in the snow and the cold, like barefoot, and was like, I don't give a fuck if you die. And then when she almost does die, because he's like, what did he tell her exactly? Like, you're not worth. He told her something like,
he told her you're useless.
You're useless. And then she was like, no, I'm not. Like, and it's the fact that like she did this all, but she's like, I did this all because Aelin asked me to. And it's like, and then she goes to sacrifice herself as Aelin. And I think like, that's when he realizes, like,
I understand initially why he was upset with them. Like, I get it. I for sure get it. But I think he took it a step too far at some point. Yeah. Like the throwing her out in the, like, I understand, like he had a lot going on. Like there was a war and like all this stuff. But I'm like, I don't think he let her explain, like, I was doing this for Aelin. I was doing this for the kingdom. I was trying to help. And I don't even think he realized, like, Aelin was trying to do everything she could to make sure everything was okay, because she
was doing this all while she was like
away. She knew Maeve was gonna take her. She knew, like, she knew. You kind of see hints of it that she knew,
because she prepared
the
for
whole
it.
When Fenris told her like nameless is Maeve's price or whatever. Like,
well, speaking of, she had the theory.
I did have that theory.
So I had finished it and I was reading Kane Mabash, and she was talking about, because at that point they don't know like about the nameless is my price, and then it said, and then I asked them about theories, and Caitlin was like, well, they mentioned nameless is like the price for like Maeve's whatever, and then they call Aelin like nameless.
Yeah, because Brandon was nameless.
Yeah, and she's
the heir. She's an heir of Brandon, and so
is Dorian.
And so by bloodline, she's nameless.
Yeah.
And so I remember a part in Empire where they were like, they were talking, Fenris and Rowan and all of them, they're talking about how to get like Maeve to like back off. Like there has to be a price for her to like leave them alone, or like to get everyone off like this blood oath or whatever. And he's like, there is no price. Nameless is Maeve's price. Like for her, the nameless is the price for her allegiance, because they wanted her to like help them in the war. He was like, nameless is her price for her allegiance. And I was like, oh fuck. I was like, there's just no. And so I remember I was telling them, I was like, I think she's gonna willingly go to Maeve. I was like, I think, because they write it in Empire of before everything happens, they mentioned Aelin like going numb and like going pale.
In that moment she knew.
Yeah, she was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And they write it how like Aelin knew in that moment, like, and then you kind of see after you read Empire, you kind of see all the things that she did from that moment till the end.
Even like in the moment where she's like preparing to sacrifice herself to the gods, like you can see her kind of just like, she's like, well, we don't have much time. Like she kind of like has that, she like keeps mentioning it's like to whatever end, but like the end is like near.
And it sucks because she always told Rowan like to whatever end, but she also kept telling him like it was all on borrowed time anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's so sad. And even like through all of it, she like was telling him like, this is, and I think the one thing that really pisses me off about this whole
she's about
series
to get into it.
is like freaking Elena again. She pisses me off. How these gods let a situation happen where this innocent child is the whole prize for all of the shit that Elena and all of them did. Like, you are putting all of that pressure on the
kid.
child.
And if you think about it, like Selena, she was what, 15 in Throne of Glass? Or
young.
no, Assassin's Blade. And then whenever you get to Kingdom of Ash, like she's literally like 19, 20.
She's not even 20 years old.
She's not even 20. She's 19.
Like, I'm 20.
Yeah, like that would be like me,
that's crazy.
Like ready to sacrifice myself as a 19-year-old, like for the gods.
I think that's when I started really hating the gods. Was like the whole like they wanted Aelin to like pay this debt, and I'm
that
like, that you created.
Yeah,
like it's so crazy to me that this person who like hasn't lived a life is like,
and that's what made me mad, because at that point, and like don't be wrong, like I understand, you know, Aelin wanted to make sure Elena could, you know, have whatever with her mate, but it's like they got that time. Like
you don't get that.
Don't get that time.
But it just shows how like, at the end of the day, how kind-hearted she really is.
Yeah,
like, yeah, she's like hardened and like a little bit from like assassin and like all this other stuff. But also, at the end of the day, she's such a sweet.
Can we talk about the fact of when she like falls through the worlds? Like how insane that was because when Maeve like wipes away like all of her scars, and like that like makes her, that made her who she
looked
was.
At her scars constantly.
Yeah. And so she wiped away like her identity. And then like Rowan like redoes the tattoo, and I think whenever it goes back into like whenever she's flying through the world and she's using that map to guide her back to Rowan, and it's kind of sad knowing that like Rowan kind of knew that this might happen, because he wrote, like he designed that for her to find her way back to him.
And I think that's also beautiful how he did that, just because it shows like he knew his mate.
She has like wings on there for him.
I think like it was beautiful that he did that, just because he didn't know her plan, but he knew his mate. He knew that she had a secret plan. Yeah. And he knew that there was something she wasn't going to tell him. But
he wanted to make sure that she would always find her way back to him.
He was so desperate for her not to like die and be wiped away.
Yeah.
Like they didn't get that much time in hindsight. Like her and Rowan didn't have a lot of like time. And I think, so not Selena, Aelin is more nice than I could ever be, because I would not be bartering for Elena's life.
No.
When she's the reason I have a debt to begin with. Like Elena pisses me off, because if she like Brandon had a plan.
He did.
Brandon was gonna close the gate. He had those keys for a reason, and she was a fucking stupid bitch. And she was like, "I'm gonna play around, and I'm gonna fix things so I'm with my mate." Girl, please. And then she has put this life debt on this child,
and she was so vague,
and she never really helped her out. Brandon did more than she did.
Well, that's why. Once. And then whenever it gets to the gods, and Dorian's dad comes and helps her.
I hate feeling sympathy for that man. I really do.
Yeah, it's really hard. But then when you think about
I like the complex emotions though.
I think that's what makes it so real because in those characters, it's so hard to hate them up. Besides Maeve, I don't like her.
She's awful.
All the other characters who are
he's awful too.
Yeah, but all the other characters who are controlled by the vlog, whatever the hell. It's hard to Vlog?
I keep calling them Vlag. I feel like they're Vlog.
I think it's Vlag. I think you're right.
Am I?
I think so. Well, all those characters, if you think about it, when that takes over, they have no emotions. And it sucks because I think Dorian's dad really did love him, but that's what makes the story so emotional because it's all those characters have it has a deeper meaning to it. And it's not just black and white. I hate them. I like them. It's but it's more complex.
And I feel like you're feeling the same feelings as Dorian.
Yeah.
You're fuck. You are being raised, you have this whole life with this person who you think they're one thing. You don't know he's Flag throughout the whole series.
Yeah.
And so you're reading these books and you're hating this man. He killed Sorsha. He's doing all these things. And you hate him. You hate him like Dorian does. And then you get to this part where it's he's not this awful guy. He just had he made really stupid decisions.
Yeah.
But he's not the guy that you see in the series. The king himself is also a complex character. And I think it sucks because he asks Errol what was my dad's name? Because the whole thing
yeah. Well, Dorian says if he was human or not.
Yeah, and the only reason that he helped them in the end. He was I'm nameless too. Errowin wiped my name from existence. I don't know my name. I'm technically nameless. Let me help. And I think and then he asked Errowin what was my dad's name? And he was the only time he's ever said his name was when he was holding you.
Oh my gosh, that scene made me so emotional.
I felt so much for Dorian.
In that moment, he remembered his name for the first time, and that's why he named Dorian.
And I was that's so sad to feel one way about this person.
Yeah.
Especially your dad of all people. Exactly. You're I hate this man. He sucks.
And that's why I love Throne of Glass.
Exactly. And then you get to the end and he you can see him see his dad when they're closing the gates. And he's
fuck.
Fuck. And then he goes to Erewhon and he's double fuck.
Double fuck.
What do you mean? Poor kid. He's also incredibly young. He's
is
lower 20s.
If you think about it, everyone's talking about how when Aelin grows older, they'll stay the same age, they'll die.
Sad. I think, to be honest, my theory is that Dorian is gonna settle.
What about Chaol?
Well, he's human.
I know.
He's gonna die.
He's gonna die.
Yeah.
But at least him and Yrene. Also, by the way, Irene's such a bad bitch.
I freaking love Yrene.
She did that shit pregnant.
I honestly think what's so crazy about this whole series is that no one talks about her.
No.
No one says anything about Yrene. And I didn't know Yrene came back.
And you didn't?
Not till Kingdom and Tower. I didn't know.
I thought it was so
because
powerful.
No one ever talks about Yrene.
Also, I love the fact that why I loved reading the Assassin's Blade so first again was because so much in that book is so important for the rest of the series. Yes. And things happen in that book and characters are introduced that come back books later. And I loved the whole story with Yrene. That was one of my favorite little stories that was in the Assassin's Blade.
And whenever them saying goodbye to each other.
Yeah, them saying goodbye, and then Selena giving Yrene the money and writing her that letter. And then I think it's so beautiful in Kingdom of Ash whenever Yrene finally gets back to Aelin and she gives her that letter and she's I did it. I did what you told me to. I didn't use it for anything else. I became the most powerful fucking healer.
Yeah, and the fact that she's the one that defeated Erewhon, if you look what I also really love about Throne of Glass is like every single person in that series is connected to Aelin in some way.
Oh,
like she has helped all of these people in some way, and I think it's so beautiful.
And that's why they all come back in the end.
And that's why they come back. Like, yeah, she was an assassin. Yeah, she killed people, but she also helped a ton of people.
Yeah,
she did a lot for a lot of people.
She did.
Like that girl from the desert. I don't remember her name. Ansel, like
yeah.
her coming back
and she
for Aelin,
and she didn't shoot.
She
waited.
Her.
She hesitated,
and she waited because Aelin could have killed her.
Oh, for sure.
Her aim is not bad. Like she could have killed that girl, and the fact that she waited 1 extra minute and shot shitty, so she didn't die.
Yeah,
like it just shows you like she's a human. Like I don't know. I just love her. She does so much for people.
Do you want to play the game now?
What game? What was the game?
The game where I have to give you characters in random order and you have to...
Yeah.
Okay. So.
You go first.
Do you want me to go, like, give you...
Like, give me the names first.
Okay. So, starting...
I'm going to make this hard for me.
I'm going to make it hard for you. So, starting off, we have... Dorian.
2.
Really?
I love Dorian.
Like, no, like 5 being like wait, how?
What are we doing?
Like top 5, I would say.
Like 1 being like my favorite, 5 being my least favorite, or like what is the ranking?
Yeah. We're gonna do that.
Okay.
No, you're
then
right.
let me start over then.
Okay. So like 1 being like
1 being
tier.
my favorite character.
Yeah.
5 being.
Sorry, I should specified that.
Okay.
So Dorian 2.
I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna go to 3 now.
Okay. And Dorian 3. Okay. I'm gonna say Elide.
4.
4?
4.
Okay. We're gonna do Manon.
2.
2?
2.
Okay. So you have 3, 4, and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lorcan? 5.
5, but like I'm waiting. I'm holding my number 1.
I was saying Maeve.
Are you joking? Damn it. Well, 1, I guess.
If you had to change your order,
I would move Lorcan and Maeve.
Lorcan and Maeve? Yeah. Okay.
I would
sorry.
I
thought you were going to say
I
that
honestly thought you were going to say Kale at the end.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, she's going to say Kale. I didn't think we were going to bring villains into this.
No, I was going to bring villains into this. Okay.
What do you know?
Okay.
Okay. So 1 being your favorite.
1 being my favorite.
5 being your least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Rowan.
2.
Nesrin.
5.
So true.
I'm gonna be so honest. Like I don't need. I like her, but like,
I don't think she's that important. Hot topic. I don't think she's that important.
I just don't really remember much about her.
Yeah, she's not. I don't think she's.
Oh, okay. Actually, I'll change it to 4.
Okay. Erewhon.
5.
Manon.
1.
What have you done?
1, 2, 4, 5.
1, 2, 4, 5. Okay. Karen. Kyron?
Who?
Karen?
Who's Karen?
I don't know how to say his name.
It's a boy?
Yeah. The guy that whipped Aelin.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
3, I guess.
3.
I mean, at least. Okay.
He's over Nesrin.
Okay.
If you could change it, what would you do?
I would guess I would change him and Nesrin. But I'm pretty I'm pretty happy with my order.
Period.
I mean, I don't like him, but I thought you were saying Karen like Karen, not
I meant like Cairn. I don't know how to say his name.
It's fine.
It's the only way I could think of.
It's okay. I totally forgot who you're talking about at first, and then I realized it was him.
Yeah, that butt munch.
Okay. Do you want to talk about future books?
I'd love to talk about future books.
Okay. So, future-wise, do we think there's, conversation going around about Sarah J. Maas maybe going back into this universe with her. Okay, I will say this. Caitlin has not read ACOTAR.
I haven't. The only book Sarah J. Maas universe I've read is Throne of Glass.
I've read ACOTAR completely, and I finished Throne of Glass completely. I do need to read CC. I haven't done that yet. However, I do know a little bit more than you, unfortunately.
A little bit, yeah.
But how do you think that there's like theories talking about her making like a mega universe?
I think she will.
You think she will?
I mean, I know that CC3 has like a joint
excerpt
with
like another character.
Yeah, like I don't know which
ACOTAR.
one.
I do. I'm not gonna tell you.
I
I think I've already told you, but you might have forgot.
I probably did. But I think she'll do it. I do.
I
mean, she told everyone, or everyone was like, you have to read Throne of Glass, ACOTAR, and the first, and then you have to read Crescent City, because like if you don't read those two, you're not gonna get the end of Crescent City.
Oh, for sure, you have to read it just because of CC3.
Yeah, and I was like, so she's for sure gonna like start. I feel like she's gonna start joining.
I think my theory is, because people are talking about how she's gonna go in and she's gonna kill Aelin, and wrong. I don't think that that's gonna happen.
I'll say my thoughts. I don't think she's gonna do that.
No,
just because you then make everyone loves Aelin. I don't think there's one person who like really truly hates Aelin.
And their story's done.
And her story's over. Yeah. And I think honestly, if you do that, the story no longer becomes a Crescent City book.
No,
you're now making it about Aelin.
Yeah,
and I think people would hate it, and I feel like people would not, if that did happen and there were Crescent City books after that, people wouldn't keep reading.
Oh fuck no,
because you've just pissed them off. I just don't think she's gonna do that. I mean, even speaking Throne of Glass specifically, she didn't really kill off any main characters. Like, if
she didn't,
like main group people, unless you count Gavriel. But I mean, like, part of her like cauldron and everything, like she didn't really kill any, like, the 13 were like really popular,
but they didn't
series,
come in until like later.
Yeah, like they weren't huge things. Like, I think she hasn't killed off,
I think,
I mean, unless you count Sam. But I mean, his death was integral to the story.
His death was important to Selena's character arc.
Yeah.
I think if she goes back into like the Throne of Glass universe, I think that it won't be about Aelin and Rowan. I think that their story's done. I think that she's gonna go into like Man and Dorian, because at the end of Kingdom of Ash, like their story isn't like, it doesn't like end. Like Manon,
I think they're the couple that has the most open-ended ending,
and that's so sad. And like if she ever like doesn't go into it, like that's what makes me so upset, because I feel like if she doesn't, she's ruined them, because they had so much potential to become something, and it's like so heavily hinted at, and then it just doesn't, like, and then she like goes off and he like stays. And I think with the whole situation of her like going off with the Crocians back home, I think that is like setting up for a whole story in itself, and I would love to see that.
Well, they also talk about at the end, they have like these plans of like once she gets settled and everything, and like everything is like relatively calm, she was gonna go to Adarlan and train the wyverns, whatever they're called. I don't know. She was gonna train them in Adarlan.
Yeah.
And like they were talking about like meeting up again, and like her being like the head of like this training thing, and she was like, I'll think about it. Like,
I'll think about it.
Like, she's gonna come back. But I mean, like,
for sure,
there's a whole story there.
And with Dorian, like, I think that there's so much left to be told about them, and just Manon in general, like her whole story with the Crocians.
Well, yeah, I mean, like she has a whole situation to go home through. Yeah,
we saw nothing of that.
No.
So I think that if she ever does, I think that's a possibility.
And I feel like that most other couples are relatively like settled. Like,
what about Lorcan and Elaid?
I love them so much, and I would read like a book over them.
I think they might have like a novella,
but I feel like they're chill,
but not like a full story.
Like, you kind of know what happens to them,
or like maybe
like I feel like they have like, if they had like a cute little novella, I think it would be really cute, and I think people would like it, and someone could write in what Lorcan fucking did, and then
what did Lorcan do? I would love to know.
Give me a novella on that.
God, what the fuck?
But in terms of like most interesting story,
it would be Manon.
It would be Manon and Dorian. Like, I would read a little something from Lorcan and Elaid, but I mean, Lorcan and Elaid, I think they're pretty chill.
Duology, maybe.
Yeah,
I think that would work.
But I mean, Kale and Irene, like, they're the happiest couple in that whole fucking book.
It's so funny. In Kingdom of Ash, like, everyone's going through it, and
Kale and Irene have a baby.
They're like, I love you so much. It's okay. They're like, I love you so much. Oh my god, you're so happy. And it's crazy. Like, their life is like conjoined, and they're all like, oh my god, I love you. And like, it's like, bro, if you one dies, the other one, and you have like, you're pregnant,
and they're so happy. And like, obviously, Rowan and Aelin are good. Like,
well, they're like going through it.
Oh, they're emotionally traumatized. I'm talking like, you know, like, together.
But like everyone's like going through it heavily in some sort of way.
But I think at the end,
they're just like,
I think at the end, like, Rowan and Aelin finally get peace.
Oh,
and I think they're chill, and I think like now she's gonna calmly run her kingdom. And I think Kale and Irene, they're just helping Dorian.
Yeah, the scene whenever they put the crown on Aelin's head, And she like turns you around.
I'm happy Darrow did it. Fuck that man.
Yeah, because what the hell?
What is this problem?
That every time I would go to like their point of view and they would be talking, I would just be like, okay, next. Goodbye.
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
I did feel bad for him though. I felt bad for all of them. Like, what is my problem? Anyway, towards the end of Kingdom of Ash, when everyone was dying,
what about the one character that like just died? I forgot his name.
Murtaugh? He just died. Like, no warning. He was just dead.
He just like walked off.
Like,
and
he
died.
walked off, and I was like, this motherfucker's about to die. And then the next chapter, Murtaugh is dead. And I'm like,
I was like,
and I truly didn't understand why that happened.
Me either.
Like,
I couldn't tell you.
I think that man was over it. He was like,
I'm old.
He's like, I'm old. I cannot keep doing this.
Goodbye.
And like, that was crazy. And it's so sorry. Rest in peace, Murtaugh. Didn't cry. Quickly move past.
I low-key forgot about that just now.
And I feel like that death was more for Ren and like him like having grief. Yeah. But I don't remember Ren that much.
Not ringing a bell.
That man, he was Adian's like fighting partner or whatever. He was like a rebel. No. It was Ren Allsbrook. Aelin talked about making him part of like her cadre or whatever.
It wasn't that important.
He wasn't important to the story.
Okay. But like, I don't remember.
But like, that was like his uncle, dad, or whatever. I don't remember. Or grandpa.
Still don't know.
Yeah, they're dead. Well,
so I guess more characters died. I just don't remember.
I think the two big ones are the 13 and Gabriel. Everyone else is kind of just like,
but like,
whatever.
To me, the 13's death was like harder.
That's crazy because mine was Gabriel.
Understandable though.
Like, I don't know. I cried during the 13. Don't get me wrong, but I like bawled my eyes out at Gabriel's death, and I think it's just how she wrote it. That was the saddest thing.
Last but not least, do you want to do a book ranking of all the books in the series?
These ones?
Yeah. Like, if you had to rank them all, like
favorite to
it's
least
like really
favorite?
hard. I know it's like a hard thing to like do.
I'm gonna give it a shot,
but I believe in you. Do you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Favorite? Kingdom of Ash.
Okay.
That was like a beautiful book. Kingdom of Ash. Empire.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah. Empire. Queen of Shadows. Tower of Dawn.
I love Tower of Dawn.
I think
it gets hate on if you don't do the tandem read, which by the way we didn't speak about. But tandem read 100%.
Oh, well, for sure, please read the tandem.
If you don't do the tandem read, you're okay. People who skip it and just read Empire Storms.
Skip Tower?
Yeah, people will read Empire and they're like, I don't want to read Kale's point of view. But
if we're talking romantical reading order, this bitch is the most romantic book in the whole series.
So true.
Like, this is a romance book between Cale and Irene.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what you want, if like you're looking for more romance, please don't skip it.
And also,
it's beautiful. Kale's arc in this book.
Oh my gosh, because you don't like him and then you read his story and you understand like complexity.
I don't like no one talks shit about Kale anymore.
No, like don't back off.
He's one of my homies.
We are not Kale haters.
No Kale haters here.
I mean, I don't like love him.
He's not my favorite character, but like
I don't hate
when
him.
people kind of like talk bad about him, I'm like, did you read his book?
It's like, but when you think about it, like his whole thing was to be a soldier, and then like he loses the ability to like lose his legs. Like that was his life.
But I kind of not saying they're the same in any sort of capacity, but his story kind of also reminds me of Manon's in a way. Like they're both complex because they grow up having one thing like in their head. It's like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Granted, he says things he shouldn't do, but like
he's stupid as hell.
He makes dumb decisions.
But I also think some of the decisions he makes is just because he's a man and he's dumb.
And him and Dorian,
like he's human.
He does everything for Dorian.
He does everything.
I think he's one of the only characters in the book that like
Dorian.
one of the only characters in the book that makes his decisions based off Dorian.
Yeah,
not Aelin.
No, he's the only one who's like 100% devoted to Dorian.
Yeah,
but I love him.
Anyways, tandem read 100%.
Please do. Kingdom of Ash, Empire, Queen of Shadows, Tower of Dawn, Heir of Fire.
She said, I'm going like down the...
Yeah. Heir of Fire, Crown of Midnight, The Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass.
Okay. Mine would have to be Kingdom of Ash.
So true.
Empire Storms.
So true.
Queen of Shadows.
So true.
The Assassin's Blade.
Oh,
I loved this book. I think
it was a really
because
good
this is the book that like genuinely made me like fall in love with. I loved the short stories. Then I would say Tower of Dawn, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Throne of Glass.
So true. We had the same first and last book.
We did.
So true for us.
Slightly different.
Slightly different.
I would rank Assassin's Blade higher just because I think it was written very well.
I struggle.
But it just depends.
I struggle between kind of Midnight and the Assassin's
But
Blade.
you also took so long to read Throne of Glass.
I think the only reason Throne of Glass was hard for me to get into was because of Sam's death. Not saying that you shouldn't read it first.
Yeah.
But, like, I was heartbroken when Sam died. Like, that killed me. I was so sad when Sam died.
She spent, like, 4 weeks getting through Throne of Glass.
It was really hard for me. Because in the beginning of Throne of Glass, they don't... Because, again, like, it wasn't written... Like, Assassin's Blade wasn't written when Throne of Glass came out.
Yeah.
So, like, when you start Throne of Glass, there's, like, nothing on Sam. You don't get into Sam until later. So, for someone who is, like, still... grieving, it was really hard for me. Not to say I didn't enjoy Throne of Glass. I really did. It was a really good book. It was just like...
Also, there was still world building.
There was still a lot of world building.
And you were new to fantasy.
I was new to fantasy. There's a lot of world building in Throne of Glass. There's a lot of stuff you learn.
I think it's a little bit... It's easier to me. Like...
I think if I reread it might go
Throne of
hard,
Glass as like a series, it's not as heavily in world building. However, I do think like new to it is kind of like
confusing. I think Throne of Glass, it was just like I also think it was crazy because it switches. Yeah. Like the setting and the people and everything is just like it's completely different from the Assassin's Blade. Yeah. Like Arabin's not there anymore. Fuck him.
Fuck him
for real. But Arabin's not there anymore. Like you're still like there's still so much like craziness at the end of the Assassin's Blade. Like you learn at the end of it, not only is Sam dead, but like Arabin helped it, and like Ferran is still out there, and like not Ferran, I forgot his name.
And his death too, by the way,
gruesome.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And like, and you thought that like Arabin was like the villain of the story for the longest time, and he don't get me wrong, like he is a villain.
No, he's a bad guy, but like, he's dead halfway through.
He's dead halfway through, and then you're like, well, fuck, like who's the villain now? Like,
yeah, doesn't he die in Queen of Shadows? No, Empire. I don't know.
Empire. I don't remember.
I don't know the books. They all blend together.
Yeah, it's like one full.
Yeah, it's like one big story to me. Yeah. But I can decipher between the rest of them and Kingdom of Ash. Oh. Just because like there's such a big break at the end of Empire. It's like she's captured and then Kingdom of Ash is like the rest from then.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in my head like before Aelin was captured and then after she was captured.
Yeah.
But
other than that, it's
just one big story.
It's like Throne of Glass through Crown of
I like group
these
together.
Three, like the Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight together. It's like the same.
These are grouped together.
It's like a little
because this is like the same world. Like nothing is crazy. I know when Airfire comes in because that's when Rowan comes in.
Yeah,
love him so much.
Period. She's wearing the shirt.
Wearing a Rowan shirt.
I'm wearing my Fireheart
Aelin Galathynius. Oh look, I'm Rowan. You're Aelin.
Oh my god,
so cute.
We're so cute.
I love that for us. Yeah. I mean, Airfire. I only remember that because that's when Rowan came in.
Yeah.
Queen of Shadows. I only like can decipher it's different things in that one because that's when her and Kale get into an argument.
I know I love Queen of Shadows because that's when her hair is red.
Exactly. I love that.
I love that for myself.
But I don't know. Queen of Shadows was like crazy to me.
Yeah. Well, everyone talks about the ending of Empire Storms like that, how that was like the biggest, but like to me, like that's so little compared to Kingdom of Ash.
It is.
Like yeah, it's a big plot twist, but like
so like but, you barely scratched the surface.
You scratched in the surface of like, what's about to happen.
It's crazy. Like I don't know. I think you read the end of all these books and you're like, what else could possibly happen?
And then
you go to the next book and you're like, oh fucking hell, man! Like it got worse.
Yeah.
But I think, to be honest, the end of Kingdom of Ash was so beautifully written. I don't think there was a more beautiful way you could have ended that book. Yeah. Like it was so beautiful, and truly, that's why I don't think anything else is gonna happen with Aelin because she truly like ends it in like a beautiful way. I think she leaves other characters open ended in case she wants to ever venture back.
And Rowan.
But I think Aelin and Rowan are done.
And I'm happy with that.
She needs peace.
I think
why do y'all want her to go through this again? Like, girl needs peace.
Let her be.
Like, let her live her life. Like, she is not even 20 years old. Let the girl live her life.
And I just think that, you know, sometimes authors they sometimes end series not like every book will be good and they'll get to the last book and it's like, why'd you end it that way? But I think Sarah J. Maas could not have ended Kingdom of Ash
in a better way.
No, like she wrote the fuck out of that series.
The ending also made me cry. I think the ending was also just like not in like a sad way, but like in a bittersweet way. Mm-hmm. Like all of these goodbyes were really heartbreaking. Like her getting her coronation was like so beautiful. Like her and Rowan getting to like sleep, Fleetfoot coming back, like King's
finally
never hear from the dog.
He was like, I love how he lived the whole thing.
If
he would have died, I would have been so upset.
That would have been all. She's like, I draw the line at dogs.
I draw the line at animals. Like, I can't do it.
But like the King's flame blooming, like I think truthfully, she like ended it. I think she's like, Aylin's in her kingdom and she's happy. Yeah. And I think that's the way it needs to remain. If y'all give her ideas, I'm going to be pissed. Leave her alone.
Sarah J. Maas won't. She like writes all of her books like without like looking at theories. So I doubt she would ever. I
really don't think she would ever touch Aylin because it's like, I don't know. She's a universally loved character, whereas other main characters in her books aren't. Whereas Aylin is like,
she's like the America's sweetheart.
Yeah,
like fantasy.
She's like, no. Why would you kill her?
She's like the Erin from Shatter Me. She's like the girl version of Erin. She's like, is that how you say his name?
I don't know that series.
Shatter Me. You know how everyone talks about...
I thought you said Shadowhunters.
Did I say Shadowhunters?
You probably didn't, but I was associating it with Shadowhunters.
I meant
Erin
from Shatter Me. Granted, I haven't read Shatter Me, but I know.
But everyone loves Erin,
and like she's like Aylin, like
she's Aylin.
She's like America's sweetheart.
I still believe like you can't kill her off because then like I don't know CC4 if it ever happened like hypothetically like it's no longer it would become an extension of Throne of Glass. Like, it would be. I don't think you should touch her. I think you should let her and Rowan be happy. Please. My girl needs to chill out.
Well, that is our episode over Throne of Glass. We honestly could sit here and I was gonna say the way we could have kept going. Like we barely touched the surface. Like there's other things we could definitely talk about. But
for sure.
I think we touched base on a lot of stuff.
I think we made a lot of good
points. Good opinions.
I think our opinions were
very
on track.
Valid.
Yeah, I think we killed it, honestly.
We killed it, truly. This was a fun podcast.
I agree.
This was the first one.
First of many.
Very exciting. We definitely wanted to start with Throne of Glass because this is like
our baby.
And we could talk about this forever.
Nothing will ever top it, for sure. But
yeah, thank y'all for tuning in to our first podcast.
If you made it to here, you agree with all of our things.
Yeah, also, thank you so much. So appreciated.
We talk a lot.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
We will tag, our ads and stuff like that if you want to follow us. But yeah, welcome to All Booked Up. We're very excited to continue.
And we're all booked up.
Oh yeah, we're all booked up. We have many things planned. We're very excited.
We have different
to start
podcasts
this.
coming out. So.
Oh yeah, they're all book themed, which is really exciting. Though we will be doing
hints of Taylor and
Harry in there every now and then. But for the most part, mainly books.
Bookish things.
Yeah, so if y'all have any ideas and things y'all want to talk about,
please let us know.
We would gladly rant about it.
Anything. We would
talk about it. And we'll rant.
We will talk about it, no matter what it is.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, guys.